Want to know my favorite way to skip a long standby line without having to pay for a lightning lane? Let's talk about single rider lines. Hello everyone, welcome back to Raja Wishes. I'm Molly, and today we're going to talk all about Disney World's single rider lines. Disney World currently has 6 single rider lines across 3 parks: Hollywood Studios, Epcot, and Animal Kingdom. If you're not familiar with what a single rider line is, these are separate lines that Disney will use to fill in empty spots on rides. These can be a great time saver and get you on the ride in a fraction of the time. Now, while these ride lines are designed for solo riders like I am today, you can get in a single rider line with your party as long as you're okay with being split up in order to ride. Now, not all of the single rider lines are necessarily created equally, so I'm going to test out all 6 of them today so you can see how they work and whether or not they're worth your time. So first off, let's get started in Hollywood Studios. So Hollywood Studios actually has 3 single rider lines currently, and that's kind of crazy when you think about it because there's only 9 rides in this park. So that means a third of the rides in this park have single rider lines, and they're all ones that can have some pretty lengthy standby waits. So first up, it's going to be Rock and Roller Coaster. This is actually my least favorite of all the single rider lanes simply because it usually does not move very quick. Here's my rule that I found though. If the standby wait is less than 30 minutes, then the single rider line should move relatively quickly. If the standby wait is longer than 30 minutes, then usually the single rider line just does not move very quick. I have no idea why, but for whatever reason, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of odd number parties that ride Rock and Roller Coaster. So currently the ride wait time, standby time, is at 35 minutes. So I'm only 5 minutes above my rule. So we'll see if this is a great idea and I get on super quick, or if this ends up taking almost as long as the standby wait time. But I'm gonna clock it and I'll let you know exactly how long it takes. Let's go ride Rock and Roller Coaster. Alright, so single rider entrance is going to be located right to the right of the lightning lane entrance. Alright, stopwatch has started. I am officially in the single rider queue, and standby wait time is posted at 35 minutes, so we will see how long this takes. Fingers crossed, it'd be really great if it was less than 10. Going to hold you where it says please wait for cast member assistance, and you can see all these people that are regular. So once they clear and go into the pre-show, then they will escort us across the way and put us into the next corral.
In a moment, I hate for it to happen again. We'll be separated single rider line. Perfect. Head on, you guys. All we gotta do is head on, you guys. Doing all that space.
Hey! What are you guys still doing here? You're supposed to be at a show.
Well, that was close enough to 30 minutes that my plan worked out beautifully. It only took 8 minutes for me to get on the ride. I walked straight up, like after I showed you when they let you across the open queue. They let us go right into the pre-show. I was at the very beginning. There was no one ahead of me in the single rider lines. I literally walked up. The cast member was like, oh great, you can go to row number 8. Got on the ride and got off. So that was an amazing version, but like I said, it doesn't always go that way for Rock and Roller Coaster. But if you are close enough to that 30 minutes, then yeah, definitely well worth it, because I ended up saving a total of 27 minutes by doing the single rider line. And I was here by myself anyways, so that worked out absolutely perfect. Now I'm going to make my way over to Galaxy's Edge, because that is where the other 2 rides are in this park that offer single rider lines. The first up that we're going to head to is Smugglers Run. Now I just checked the My Disney Experience app and it only has a posted 15-minute wait, so I should be able to pretty much just walk right on this, assuming that the single rider line is actually open. So I will see you over in Galaxy's Edge. Alright, so for Smugglers Run, similar to Rock and Roller Coaster, the single rider line is going to be right up front, pretty easy to find. going to be just to the left of the lightning lane.
Now get the move on and know that I have complete faith in you. But I am coming along with you just in case.
Alright, make sure we get those seatbelts fastened.
When we get into real trouble. Right, pilot? Push the flashing button to take off. Pilot on the left. Move your stick to fly right and left. Birds are on line.
Alright, so that took exactly 5 minutes. So by using the single rider line, this one had a posted standby wait of 15 minutes. So I ended up saving 10 minutes. Now for this one, this single rider line usually moves really quickly no matter how high that standby wait time is, simply because you're grouped into parties of 6. So there's a pretty good likelihood that they're gonna have an empty spot to fill. The only downside with this ride though is that if you are a single rider, you're most likely gonna get the spot of engineer because it's the most boring. And I'm not gonna lie, that was actually the first time I've gotten stuck with engineer and I didn't enjoy it. But if you don't mind being engineer, then that's a great way to go ahead and skip this ride. The third single rider line offered in this park is for Rise of the Resistance. And this is an amazing single rider line if it is actually open. So if it is open, then you do actually miss the pre-shows, which if you've never been on the ride before, they're kind of important to get the story, but if you have been on the ride before, then this is a great time saver. Also because Rise of Resistance is a Lightning Lane single pass ride. It's not included in multi-pass. So if you really want to go on this ride and you want to be able to skip an hour plus longer wait, then I highly recommend doing the single rider line, especially if you've done the ride before. Now, unfortunately, Rise of the Resistance has been down since I got into Hollywood Studios, and I just checked again and it is still down. So I can't do a test of this one currently, but since I am in Hollywood Studios, I'm gonna go ahead and walk over there so I can show you where the single rider line entrance is located, because it's a little tricky and this one actually is just a little bit hidden. And if I have time, then I will come back and redo this one later today. And if it still doesn't open up today, then that's fine. I'll come back a different day and we'll add that into the video. So for now, let's go walk over to Rise and I'll show you where the single rider line entrance is. And then from here, I'm going to start heading over to Epcot because they have 2 single rider lines over there and they are for 2 really great rides that also get insanely long waits. They are for 2 of the most popular rides in that park, which are Test Track and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. But like I said, before we leave Galaxy's Edge, I'm gonna go ahead and show you where the single rider entrance is, and then hopefully I'll be coming back. All right, so as you can see, Rise is closed, so they have all the cast members standing out front. You have the standby line on the left. Then on the right-hand side, you have the lightning lane. If you keep going over to this area, if the ride were open and the single rider line were open, you'd see a cast member in this area. They'd be holding a sign and then they would direct you around this area down to that ramp. So out of the 3 lightning lanes in this park, that's the only one that's a little bit tricky, but if you're ever in doubt and you know that there should be a single rider lane, just ask the cast member, because sometimes they don't have it open, or it might just be a little bit more hidden than you thought, and a cast member will be more than happy to direct you in the right direction. Okay, so that finishes out the single rider lines in Hollywood Studios. That was a quick little trip here, and that was great. I waited 8 minutes for Rock and Roller Coaster, 5 minutes for Smugglers Run, so my total wait time so far today for 2 rides has been 13 minutes. Not bad if I do say so myself. So now I am going to head over to Epcot, and I will see you guys at Test Track. First up in Epcot is Test Track. Now, Test Track is kind of similar to Smugglers Run in that it seats groups of 6 people in each ride vehicle, and it's set up with 3 people in the first row and 3 people in the second row. So you have a very good chance of them needing a single rider spot to fill up on this ride. So usually the single rider line for this ride moves incredibly quick. Right now it has a posted standby wait of 70 minutes. Like all the other ones we've done today, I'm gonna clock it. I'm guessing I should be on definitely in under 10 minutes, but we shall see. Let's go ride Test Track. The single rider is super easy to find for this ride. You're gonna find the standby entrance all the way on the right-hand side, lightning lane over here on the left, and then on the most left will be the single rider entrance. Hello. I am stopped exactly where they would merge the lightning lane and the standby lane. All right, well, Test Track had a posted 70-minute standby wait, and I waited a grand total of 3 minutes in the single rider line. So I saved over an hour worth of waiting by going to the single rider line. I don't even like that ride. It just messes up my hair horrible. I do love the Cars version of that ride in California Adventure, but this one, even with the retheming, I mean, it's better than it was, but it just still doesn't have a theme, it doesn't have a story. So I just personally think it's a little boring, and all it does is mess up my hair. So I don't like waiting for that ride, but for 3 minutes, you can't beat that. Now I am going to make my way over into World Showcase to go on the second single rider line in this park, which is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. This is also another fabulous single rider line. Now, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is only posted as a 25-minute wait right now. I don't know why it's so low, but that's great for me because that means that the single rider line I should be on, I would say, in probably less than 3 minutes, definitely less than 5 minutes, but I will clock it and we will find out. Now, I have gotten in Remy's Ratatouille Adventure single rider line before when the standby line was at 70 minutes, and I waited 15 minutes as a single rider to give you an idea of just how quick and how good that single rider line moves. Now, part of the reason why the single rider line at Remy's Ratatouille Adventure works so well is because it's similar to Test Track in that there are 2 rows in each ride vehicle, and each row holds 3 people for a total of 6 people. So it's very likely that you're gonna have even numbers of groups, which leaves 1 leftover seat usually. And that's part of the reason why it's able to move so quick. All right, so in the time that it took me to walk back over to France, Ratatouille now has a posted 55-minute standby wait. So I feel like this is gonna be a better test of what the single rider line is, and I'm probably not getting on in under 5 minutes, but that's okay. I bet you it's still pretty quick. I bet you, I'm thinking maybe like 10, 15 at the worst, but we will see. I will clock it. So this single rider entrance is super easy to find as well. You got standby all the way over on your right, which is 55 minutes, lightning lane in the middle, and then single riders, we're gonna go right through here. Single rider is actually kind of a little bit far back, so this isn't going to be super quick, but it also should be much quicker than 55 minutes. We will see. Ratatouille ended up taking exactly 10 minutes in the single rider lanes. They're not bad. With a posted standby wait of 55, that means that I saved 45 minutes of waiting. So my total waiting in Epcot today has come out to a whopping 13 minutes, which is also what I ended up spending waiting in line for the 2 rides in Hollywood Studios. So I've been able to do 4 rides today using the single rider line, and I've only waited for 26 minutes total in ride lines today. That's kind of astounding. So the last single rider line of the day brings me to Animal Kingdom for Expedition Everest. Now this is a great single rider line. It moves so much quicker than the standby line. Even if the posted standby line is an hour, which doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it can, the single rider line will still move incredibly quickly. So currently Expedition Everest is showing a 20-minute standby wait time, which isn't that bad, but I know getting in the single rider line, I'm thinking I should probably end, I'm gonna guess, in under 5 minutes, but I'm gonna clock it and let's see how accurate I am. Let's go ride Expedition Everest. So here is the front of Expedition Everest, and in order to access the single rider line, you're actually going to keep going towards the right. So as you can see, there's a standby entrance, the lightning lane entrance, but I am going to continue going over this way towards the right, and it'll swing you around this little bend, and then you can see single rider entrance, and it'll say whether it is open or closed. As you can see, there's only a few people ahead of me in the single rider line. There's 4 to be exact, so this should move pretty quick, but I have the clock going. So that took exactly 2 minutes, and the posted standby wait was 20, so that means I saved a total of 18 minutes during the single rider line. Thanks for coming along with me today. I had some surprises like Rock and Roller Coaster actually working out, and unfortunately Rise of the Resistance never did end up coming back up today, so I can't test that one, but overall it was still a super successful day. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up for me. And also let me know down in the comments what your favorite single rider line is in Walt Disney World. Until next time, wishing you less stress and more magic.